I still have 1 minute to 7. I don't know if anybody else has got a more accurate time, but
Nope, I have the same time as you.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Rebecca. There's also Bill to come on with me.
Bill Wheeler,
Yes, please.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have 7 o'clock. I'll call this regular council meeting of council to order for Tuesday, April the 19th, once again being held electronically, and we're honored to gather in the unceded territory of the Squamish Nation. We have an agenda, a fairly full package again for tonight. I'll ask council firstly for approval of the agenda. Councillor Kroll, Councillor Ladwig, all in favor? Thank you very much. Secondly, I'd ask council to provide a resolution to receive all reports, minutes, correspondence, and information on the bylaws on the agenda package. Councillor Lumley moved, Councillor Kroll seconded. All in favor? Thank you very much. That gets that bit of business out of the way. Next, we'll go to the minutes of the regular council meeting of April the 5th and ask council for a resolution to adopt. Councillor Kroll, Councillor Dindrad, thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much. And next, the meeting minutes of the special council meeting of April the 5th as well, and ask for a resolution to adopt. Councillor Kroll, Councillor Lumley, all in favor? Thank you very much. Council, is there any business arising out of those minutes? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to proclamations. And the first proclamation under 5.1 is Lyme Disease Awareness Month. And we have Darquise Desnoyers and I believe a second person, Bill Wheeler. Darquise, did I pronounce that right?
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and welcome.
Thank you.
So you can make your presentation.
Okay, Bill is to start. Bill,
Okay.
are you there?
Yes, thank you. Just before we start, my video is working on my own screen. I can see myself, brand new camera, but I'm unable to start the video here. Oh, there we go. The host just invited me. Start your video. I can't get it in first gear. I don't know why.
Okay.
Maybe you could just go with the voice.
Okay, I may have to go voice
Yeah.
only. I apologize. Yeah, I have
That's
two
all right.
monitors. I see myself on the other monitor. Okay, voice only. I apologize for that. Good evening, Mayor Beamish and councillors. My name is Bill Wheeler, and I am founder, president, and webmaster for the BC Lyme Society, a registered nonprofit society supporting Lyme sufferers throughout BC. I'm joined this evening by our hardworking vice president, Ms. Darquise Desnoyers. Darquise?
Okay, hi everyone. It's our pleasure to speak to you in Gibson tonight. Without a question, one of the jewels of the West Coast and always a favorite spot. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Mayor Beamish and councillors for proclaiming May Lyme Disease Awareness Month in Gibson. Each year during our awareness campaign, we strive to have many prominent landmarks and city halls around the province light up for Lyme, asking these sites to illuminate green on May 3rd or the week or the month, wherever possible. Your participation in this awareness campaign is an important part of its success and much appreciated. Prevention is the most effective medicine and our best chance to avoid this debilitating and life-altering disease. Through these awareness campaigns, we strive to inform people how to avoid being bitten by ticks, how to remove ticks safely if you do get bitten, and to recognize the symptoms early on so they can seek treatment immediately.
Thank you, Darkies. Our original Lyme support group reformed as the Greater Vancouver Lyme Group in 2018 as a nonprofit society. And we changed our name to encompass all of BC and hopefully act as an umbrella group for other Lyme organizations within the province. We were meeting monthly in New Westminster, and since COVID arrived, we have switched to Zoom meetings. It looks likely we won't be going back either. Everybody loves Zoom. Attendance is free and open to all, and our group invites prominent guest speakers, and we share current information on all aspects of Lyme disease. I became a Lyme advocate after witnessing my wife's journey with Lyme. She was initially diagnosed at Delta Hospital, ER, with hepatitis, then possibly MS, possibly arthritis, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and finally, she was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis and was performing weekly self-injections with a chemotherapy drug. This too was a misdiagnosis and incorrect treatment. She eventually suspected Lyme disease herself and was tested in Florida, California, and diagnosed clinically at the Hale Medical Center in Gainesville, Florida. We were never told in Canada that foreign diagnosis would not be accepted here. Upon coming home and telling her rheumatologist of her clinical diagnosis, she was told, "I won't be seeing you anymore. I concluded there is something terribly wrong with this picture, and I have been a Lyme disease advocate since." Darkies?
Yes, Lyme disease is actually a bacterial infection, Borrelia burgdorferi, and is typically caused by a bite from an infected tick. Lyme often comes with several co-infections, such as Babesia, Bartonella, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Anaplasma, tick-borne relapsing fever, and the list goes on. There are also increasing evidence showing mother to fetus transmission of the disease. Lyme disease is the most common and fastest growing vector-borne infection in Canada and in the United States. While Canada reported infection rate is fairly low, it has grown from 144 cases in 2009 to nearly 3,000 cases in 2021. And unfortunately, many cases go unreported. The American CDC actually estimates that there are over 476,000 new cases of Lyme each year in the US. Wearing long pants, tucked in socks, and long sleeve shirts can help. Wearing light colored clothing also helps to spot ticks. Doing tick checks on yourself, your children, and your pets are very important. Insect repellent also helpful. When found, proper tick removal is critical, and you may visit bclyme.com or canlyme.com to see proper tick removal techniques. Bill?
Thank you, Darkies. Ticks, by the way, are not true insects, but are arachnids and related to spiders. The most common ticks in North America are the black-legged tick or deer tick, the Lone Star tick, and here on the West Coast, the Western black-legged tick. They're the ones wearing the cowboy hats. If I had a camera, you could see me smile here. Not all ticks are infected, and surveillance numbers of infection vary wildly. Early Lyme symptoms may or may not include a bullseye rash, erythema migrans, or we call it EM rash. It may also include joint pain, neurological problems, nausea, fatigue, fever, muscle aches, chills, headaches, swollen nodes, etc. When a person is bitten by an infected tick, 3 things must happen. 1, the tick must be found, recognized, and removed properly and promptly. If no tick is found but the symptoms occur, it should be highly suspected and treated as such, treated as Lyme. 2, a physician must be seen immediately and the correct clinical diagnosis must be made. If a bullseye rash is found, no further testing is necessary. It must be treated as Lyme disease. Otherwise, if no rash is found, a 2-tier test must be performed. The first test, called the ELISA test, must be positive before the second test, the Western.
Bill, can I interrupt
Yes.
you? I think you're providing us more detail than we need. And I appreciate that. We have 3 proclamations on our agenda tonight, and I just want to try to move through those before we get on to our regular business. So I believe you've given us a good background on Lyme disease, and I think we understand it. Going into the clinical sides of it, I don't think is that we as council need to have that right now. So I want to thank you for your
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, can I just wind up?
You can wind up. Yeah, you can wind up.
Okay, yeah, okay. If diagnosed as Lyme disease, the physician must treat properly according to ILAD's protocols. If any of these steps are missed, the results may be catastrophic and life-altering, okay? So I'll wind up. Dark Keys and I, on behalf of BC Lyme, thank you all for your attentions this evening. And when it comes to Lyme disease, prevention is key. We are very grateful for the proclamation from Gibsons. Thank you very much. If you'd like to know more, you can visit our website, bclyme.com, click on videos, and watch my production of Adrift. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Darkeys. I'll read the proclamation now. I have it in my hand. Proclamation, the Office of the Mayor, William Beamish, in recognition of Lyme Disease Awareness Month. Whereas Lyme disease has become the most frequently reported vector-borne disease in Canada and can impact the quality of life of individuals and their families in British Columbia and across Canada. And whereas Lyme disease and Lyme co-infections can be challenging to diagnose, and if left untreated, symptoms may result in complicated multi-level infections that are life-altering. And whereas Lyme disease is preventable if the right precautions are taken, and it is important that everybody know how to protect themselves and their loved ones from this vector-borne disease. And whereas Lyme Disease Awareness Month is an opportunity to increase awareness of this potentially serious disease and to educate on prevention and recognition of early signs and symptoms. I, therefore, William Beamish, Mayor of Gibsons, do proclaim May 2022 as Lyme Disease Awareness Month in the town of Gibsons. Proclamation 2022-08, April 19, 2022. And Bill and Darkeys, oh, there you are, Bill. We see you now.
Yeah.
I got it figured out.
We will we'll have this. I'll have this signed, and a copy will be mailed to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time tonight and your
Thank
presentation.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome to stay and join us too, if you wish. Okay, well, we have a next proclamation, and that is on the 2022 day of mourning. And Mayuki Shinkai and Darian Brose of the Sunshine Coast Labor Council will be with us. Mayuki, good afternoon.
Hi,
Yeah.
Mayor Beamish and the town of Gibsons councillors. My name is Miyuki Shinkai. I'm coming to you from unceded land of Squamish Nations. I'm a president of Sunshine Coast Labor Councils and a member of QP 801 School District Workers. Thank you for taking our proclamation request. We are, our Labor Council is consisted by hundreds of affiliated union members on the Sunshine Coast. And we request you declare April 28th as the official day of mourning for workers killed and injured on the job. And if your council issues a proclamation, we would appreciate to receive your copy to that. So Darren, he's our member, and also the resident of town of Gibsons have some presentation about the day of mourning and some information about the service on April 28th. Take away.
Thank you, Darren.
Hi, thanks. Good evening. My name is Darren Brose, and I am a delegate of the Sunshine Coast Labor Council and a member of the Canadian Union of Public Employee. Each year, Sunshine Coast Labor Council presents to the local government within our region to seek support and recognition of April 28th as the day of mourning for workers killed and injured on the job. Our purpose in recognizing the day of mourning has always been twofold: to remember workers killed and injured on the job and to rededicate ourselves to preventing future injuries through education. This year, we are adding a third priority that speaks to the new widespread understanding of health and safety, which echoes to the campaign of the Canadian Labour Congress. Work shouldn't hurt. The campaign, Work Shouldn't Hurt, calls on the Canadian government to take a leadership role internationally to get the International Labour Organization Convention on Workplace Safety and Fundamental Right passed this year. It is leadership that is key when it comes to health and safety in the workplace. Strong leadership can show the way, set an example, and to ensure we are working together. This is especially important for younger workers who are at higher risk of injury in the workplace, as they are often unaware of their rights, like the right to refuse unsafe work, and may feel able to speak up when they have concerns and questions. Leadership, awareness, and education are keys to ensure safer, healthier workplaces. I would like to conclude by inviting you to join our Labor Council this day of mourning for workers killed, injured on the job for an in-person observance of Thursday, April 28th at 11 a.m. in Worker Memorial Plaque in Dougal Park in Gibsons. WorkSafe BC officer will be there with us to deliver the day of mourning presentation. Thank you. Respectively presented by the Sunshine Coast Labor Council.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Mayuki. Council, I feel it's a very important declaration, proclamation that we do annually, and sometimes I think we don't give it enough thought. I know I go down there to the memorial, Manny goes to the memorial, and other staff go down there, but I'd like to make it more formal, and I'd like to ensure that this year, unfortunately, I will be out of town. I'll be in Vancouver at a conference, and I'd like to make sure that somebody from council, somebody from our management team, and somebody representing our union, our workers, are present together, maybe with a bouquet of flowers from the town to be left at the memorial. And I'd ask the staff and work with council and to organize that in my absence, because I think it's very important that we do that. And at 11 o'clock, that's the time when the delegation, the presentation is going to be made at the memorial. And I'd encourage that to be done in a very formal way by our council to recognize that. And that we carry that forward in the future. I think we shouldn't leave it to an ad hoc drop in if you can type of thing. And we should make sure that we actually do this as a point of memory. I would also ask that the 2 pages 28 and 27 are of our agenda package that is from the Sunshine Coast Labor Council announcing the day of mourning be copied to all of our staff, and they get a copy of that, and that they be invited to and be given time off to visit the memorial as they wish on that day, whether it's at 11 o'clock or at any time during the day, that they'd be encouraged to do that. So Councillor Kroll, you'll be the deputy mayor that day. Are you going to be in town?
I'll be here, sir, and I'm happy to.
Appreciate if you would take that leadership on that. I appreciate that. So I'll now read the proclamation. The Office of the Mayor, William Beamish, in recognition of the National Day of Mourning. Whereas April 28 is observed across Canada and in countries around the world as a national day of mourning for workers killed, injured, disabled, or suffer disease as a result of work. And whereas April 28 was proclaimed a National Day of Mourning by an Act of Parliament on February 1st, 1991, as a day to remember, reflect, and recommit. And whereas thanks to the commitment and dedication of those who fight for improved workplace health and safety every day, advances have been made that make British Columbia a safer place to work. However, despite this progress, too many people continue to lose their jobs or suffer an injury or illness as a result of their job. And whereas every worker has a right to return home safe and sound at the end of each workday. And whereas April 28 of each year is a day to mourn and remember all workers who have been stricken with illness, injured, or have lost their lives on the job. A day to remember children left without parents and families facing hardships, including family and friends who nurse or care for and injured children and injured workers. A day to renew approaches to governments for tougher occupational health and safety standards and more effective compensation. A day to rededicate ourselves to the goal of making Canada's workplaces safer. And whereas by working together with employers, workers, and health and safety partners, we can prevent injuries and deaths to workers before they occur. Now therefore, I, William Beamish, Mayor of Gibsons, do proclaim April 28, 2022 as National Day of Mourning in the town of Gibsons. Proclamation 2022-09, April 19th, 2022, regular council meeting. Mayoki and Darren will make sure you get a copy of that. And as I say, unfortunately, I can't be there this year, but I will hopefully ensure that through our conversation tonight that we will be represented. And
Thank you
I'd
very
like to
much.
see that. I'd like to see more employers do that and have that be there and make this a real recognition ceremony at the memorial. Everybody knows where that is in Dougal Park. Be there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Beamish and the town of Gibson's councillors for your commitment and deep thoughts for the Day of Mourning services. So I'll see you down there. Bye for now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more proclamation, and the sponsor of this one is our Councillor Kroll. And for those of you who are unaware, Councillor Kroll spent many, many hours working with the CBC, the Still Standing crew recently as they were filming and investigating our community, highlighted by a final presentation at the Elphinstone Gym, which was attended by, it looked like about 150 people there. Enjoying the show and enjoying the opportunity to celebrate our community. So, Councillor Kroll, I'll invite you to say a few words about that. And,
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. Going back to 2019, I wrote to Frantic Films suggesting that, and it was in conjunction with the Beachcombers 50th, that Still Standing might consider doing an episode here in Gibsons. We didn't hear from them until the 14th of January. We got an email inquiring, were we still interested? Worked with them through to the 18th of February, and then a writer was assigned to the project. And in preparing the material I sent to them, I copied council on most of it. There was about 50 some odd pages of talking points. It became very apparent to me, people in this community who work behind the scenes, don't get recognition, who make this community what it is, and in a sense, keep us still standing. So I reached out to Mayor Beamish, suggesting that we have a Still Standing week, and I suggested the dates they were here become the week, but it was already passed. So Mayor Beamish very kindly suggested we make it Still Standing month. And I think it just provides us an opportunity to see the town through eyes of others and appreciate the people who work behind the scenes, work without recognition to keep this town still standing. So I really appreciate it. The Mayor Beamish read the proclamation at the show on Monday last week, and Johnny Harris was just blown away. In all the towns they've ever appeared in, they've never had a proclamation declared. So they were very, very pleased with this proclamation. So I'll turn it back over to you, sir.
Thank you. And since doing that, I'd never seen Still Standing before on CBC. I've looked it up on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube, and that looks like a lot of fun. It'll be very interesting to see how our community is projected.
All 7 seasons are available on CBC.
That's right, yeah.
Gem.
So that, they have a lot of fun, and we can anticipate showing perhaps early in the new year. Okay, so we'll look forward to that. So a proclamation, the Office of the Mayor, William Beamish, in recognition of Still Standing Month. Whereas the town of Gibsons has now joined other small communities across our province and the nation who have been recognized by Johnny Harris in the television show Still Standing. And whereas we celebrate and applaud this opportunity to see ourselves through the eyes of others and appreciate through this lens what makes us unique. And whereas the town of Gibsons recognizes that we all form this great nation of Canada. And whereas the opportunity to see the differences and challenges we face as individuals to form the fabric of this country is truly appreciated. And whereas with a different eye, we've been provided the unique opportunity to see ourselves. And whereas during this week, we call on citizens to thank, celebrate, and recognize what makes us unique and how we can come together to form this great nation, embracing and welcoming all. Now, therefore, I, William Beamish, Mayor of Gibsons, do hereby proclaim April 2022 as Still Standing Month in the town of Gibsons, affording an opportunity for us to reflect on the wonderful people who have kept the town of Gibsons still standing. Proclamation number 2022-07, July 19, 2022, regular council meeting. Thank you, Councillor Kroll, for taking the lead on this and for all the work you did. In talking to Johnny Harris and the CBC crew, no other community has been as welcoming and as facilitating as the town of Gibsons, and they've never had a facilitator like Councillor Kroll to work with them. So it was excellent. So they're welcome back anytime. So thank you. Okay, we've taken care of the non-business stuff. Now we'll get on to inquiries, and our first inquiry set with inquiries about any matter that is on the agenda tonight for council decision. I'll put that out there and turn it over to the corporate officer.
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. I am moving over Mark Evans, who will be joining you with a question.
Mr. Evans, welcome. I don't know if you're muted, but I can't hear you. No, can't hear you. There you are. I hear something now. Yeah.
How about that?
That's better. Yes.
Okay. Well, Your Worship, Mayor and Council, thank you once again for the opportunity to speak. With respect to the development variance permit application for 356 Skyline Drive, I ask that Council consider the variance not be approved until the second address is removed from the registry. Is that something
Mr.
that you
Evans,
would consider?
There will be an opportunity to talk on that variance when it comes up. Right now, it's just going to, I think it is on the agenda tonight to move forward. Yeah, okay, you can say what you wish to say, and then that's fine. But there will be a chance to speak to that variance on the night when the variance is considered for approval. But if you wish to speak ahead of that time, you can do that.
My apologies. I was under the impression that it was moved forward to this meeting, and that's from the committee of the whole. And that's the reason I thought I would bring that forward.
Yeah, just move forward this meeting to refer to the community now. And then when it comes back to the agenda, as you'll see on two others tonight, and other things tonight, there will be an opportunity at that time to speak to it specifically. But you're welcome to say what you have to say since it is on the agenda technically.
Okay, well, at risk of repeating myself, It is only a very small point that with the development variance permit, I asked that council consider the variance not be approved until the second address is removed from the registry.
Okay, that could be a subject of the condition of the variance as well. So I appreciate that.
Yes, it came up in the discussion of the committee of the whole, and I thought I might bring that forward, as I thought that that was supposed to be brought forward in this meeting. I misunderstood.
Yeah,
Thank
Councilor
you for your
Lumley.
time.
Councilor Lumley.
Well, if the neighborhood gets back and against the variance, then you can't remove the other address, because then they'd have to build their house using the other address.
Yeah.
The variance is so that they can use Skyline. Without that variance, they have to build from Avalon up, which was the original intention. So by review, it seems like the cart before the horse, you know what I mean?
But we can deal with that at the meeting where we consider the variance. Tonight, we're just moving the variance forward to refer to the community. Yeah, for comment. I appreciate that, Mr. Evans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If anyone else has a question, if you could kindly raise your hand. I see no further hands raised, Mayor Beamish.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the agenda then. Item 7 is committee reports. First is the Committee of the Whole, the Public Art Advisory Committee, and the recommendation that well, we have received those minutes. They're quite light because, again, we went in camera. And the reason we went in camera, in case anybody's wondering that, is because we're still dealing with the specifics of individuals' presentations and proposals. So we're allowed to have that open conversation about individual pieces of art and the artists. So that's why eventually you will hear more specifics of what is being transpired at that meeting. The Committee of the Whole, Committee of the Whole meeting 7.3. This is the Skyline. This is the recommendation that came out of the committee tonight, council this afternoon. Committee this afternoon, and that is that the recommendation that the notice be notified of the requested variance that at 356 Skyline under application DVP 2022-01 and the date of council's decision on the application. So council would like to move that. Councilor Crowell, thank you. Second by Councilor D'Andrade. And all we're doing at this time is moving it forward to get comment from the community. All in favor? Thank you very much. We will consider the results of that and the comment after they're received. Director of Finance, the 2021 draft audited statements, and they form the bulk of your agenda package tonight, Council, and call upon the Director of Finance to bring that forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right. And so if I may, I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah, please.
All right, if you let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So, although much of the focus this spring has been on the 2022 budget, staff have also been working on the financial reporting requirements for 2021. And as per the community charter, the annual financial statements are the responsibility of the financial officer. And I'm presenting those tonight for council's approval. All right, let's see. All right. So a copy of the draft statements, as you mentioned, Mayor, has been provided to council in the agenda package. And as required, these statements have been audited by BDO Canada, and they include the independent auditor's report, which expresses a clean audit opinion. I'm going to have a short presentation, and I'll provide an overview of the town's financial position, operations, talk a bit about the accumulated surplus. I'll touch on a few of the notes that are part of the financial statements, and then I'll just make a couple of concluding comments. So I'll start with a review of the statement of financial position. And so this statement starts off with a listing of the town's financial assets. And this, as you can see, is mainly cash and investments. And so you'll notice a decrease in the cash year-end balance as compared to last year. And that really is a result of a change that the province made regarding the 2020 school tax payment. As part of COVID response, the province pushed back the requirement for the school tax payment to January. So that caused us to have a large cash balance at the end of the year in order to make that payment early in January. And that schedule went back to normal this year, which is why the cash position is lower as of 2021. So that's why that big swing in that one. Portfolio investments, you can see they increased by about $3.5 million. And part of that number is included is about $3 million of developer deposits that we hold for security, but we do return what developers have met the requirements that they need to meet. You can see that taxes and accounts receivable are quite stable. The taxes receivable is higher last year, and that's because last year, again, part of COVID, the province allowed council by bylaw not to have a tax sale. So there was a larger amount of taxes owing at year end, and that change was reverted back this year. So that's why the drop in that balance. And so overall, you can see that our financial assets have increased by about $2 million, and now we're sitting at $18.2 million at the end of 2021. Okay, I'm going to move on to the liability section, and this is basically our obligations to our creditors. And so total liabilities is just over $19 million this year, and it's relatively stable. It's an increase of about $500,000 as compared to last year. You can see for the accounts payable, that first line there, it's a decrease of about $2 million. And again, this is the other side of the school tax payment change that changed from 2020 to 2021. So there's that $2 million difference there. The rest of the decrease is offset by increases in areas like deferred revenue. And so deferred revenue is, majority of that is grant revenue that we've received, but we have not spent yet. So we can't recognize that as revenue. We have long-term debt. Now it's sitting at just over $10 million. And note that we do still have some unissued debt for the Zone 3 expansion. We're going to be using some for well 6 this year. And that is still to be drawn. So it's not yet part of that $10 million. So once we draw that, we'll see that in the 2022 year-end balance. You can see the development cost charges that we have on hand also increased. And then there's that refundable deposit. So previously we would show that as we basically reduce our portfolio investments by that amount, but change in the way we report and present this year. So we now show a refundable deposit line. So those are basically the security deposits that we have on hand from developers. And so a result of our year-end financial assets and liabilities, it results in a net debt of $800,000, roughly just under. And that's a reduction of $1.3 million. And so it's really, it's really great for me to see as a finance person. We're working our way towards a net asset position. So that's really, really good news. All right, a bit on the next section of the statement of financial position is the non-financial assets section. And as you can see, these are mainly the tangible capital assets, just over $61 million there. And they've increased by, what's that, about $3.4 million. And this is new and replacement assets. So it's not all brand new. It's some of the replacements we've done during the year. And that is really 3.4 is an addition, but less the annual depreciation. We take that off and we show the actual value, that net value. Some of those additions relate to in-kind contributions. So we had some new infrastructure that was transferred to the town this year. The main one being the development on Park Road, and that included an extension of Woodsworth there, just past Brothers Park. And so overall, the three items, so financial assets, liabilities, and then non-financial assets, resulted in an improved overall financial position for the town, and our accumulated surplus is now sitting at $60.5 million. Okay, the next statement I just want to touch on is a statement of operations, and I'll start with revenue. And this statement includes a comparison to the financial plan that council adopts each year. And so, like I mentioned, I'll start with revenue. And so overall, revenue is approximately $200,000 greater than last year. And it's come within also $200,000 of budget projections. That's really good to see. Taxation and user fee revenue, you can see, are quite close to budget amounts. Government transfers, there's a reduction as compared to budget, and this relates to two large projects where we could only recognize a small portion of the revenue because the projects are still in process. And so that's why the difference in budget there. We've also got contributions from developers, and this, let's see, where's that? Yeah, contributions from developers. So budget amount is quite low, but this is because it's a timing recognition. We never know when those when that recognition is going to come online. And so this year we had, again, the in-kind contributions as well as development cost charges and some cash contributions that we recognize. So that's the difference there. On the expense side of the statement of operations, compared to budget, shows that the town is, we're still in process of getting back to pre-pandemic levels. And so while we have increased our expenses compared to 2020, there's areas that still can continue to be reduced as compared to budget. So travel and training expenses weren't quite back up to pre-pandemic levels because we've shifted the way we do that. We don't travel as much anymore. Some community events were also still postponed, so that's reduction in expenses there. But overall, actuals are coming in slightly higher than last year, about 400,000. But as compared to budget, they're about 800,000 below budget. So net result of operations is an annual surplus of just under $3 million, so $2.9 million this year. And this is only just slightly lower than last year. And again, this brings our accumulated surplus to $60.5 million for 2021. And I just want to talk a bit about this accumulated surplus line on the statements. And so there's a note in the statements, note number 6, and it provides a bit more detail behind that $60.5 million number. And so it's important to clarify that this is not cash that we can spend. Part of it is, cash related, but the majority is the town's investment in municipal assets. That's the $51 million there. And so there's $51 million, it represents the equity that we have in the physical assets. So that's the net book value, which is the original cost of the asset less the depreciation to date. And also we deduct how much debt we have owing on that because we're still paying that back. So it's really an equity line item there. So again, just important to note, we do not have $60 million to spend in cash. It's really the majority of it is recognized in assets. And so the remaining surplus, you can see the operating and reserve fund there. Those are our operating surpluses as well as our various reserves. And those have increased by about $1.7 million as compared to last year. And just a few more comments before I finish my presentation on this year's statements. I just want to touch on a few of the notes. And so note 5 in the statements, this outlines development cost charges. And if you're looking at, you review the notes and look at note 5, it really shows some detail, and it shows that the balance of development cost charges we have on hand increased by about $670,000 up to about 1.9 million total. And then during the year, we received just under $1 million in development cost charges, but we did spend about 300. So we did use some of those up, but overall the balance that we have on hand did increase. Note number 7 is a note that we mentioned commitments that the town has. And this one includes information on our bulk water supply agreement that we have with the regional district. And I continue to note in there that as of August 2020, the town's reliance on the regional district water is now limited to fire flow and peak demand as required. Note number 13 talks about contractual rights. And this is information on the material contractual rights that the town has. And a couple of items listed there is the obligations of developers to provide subdivision infrastructure, which again, we then record as assets, which I've talked about a bit earlier. And also I mentioned that the agreement we have with the RCMP for the occupancy of the RCMP station on Sunnycrest. And the one minor change there is the annual payment has been reduced down from $159,000 to $140,000. And this is because that's a 20-year loan, and we've reached a 10-year mark, and that's been refinanced, and we're getting the benefit of a slightly lower interest rate on that loan payment. Note number 17, we're still in a pandemic, so I want to make sure that we did include a comment on COVID-19, and basically that while the impact is lessening on the town, we're still operating in the midst of some uncertainty. So I wanted to make sure that that was mentioned to provide some context for the numbers in the financial statements, and really just reiterate that we're focusing on providing essential services to citizens as we move through that whole process. And finally, note number 1H, it's about policies, and note number 1H is specific to tangible capital assets. And it's really important in the town that we recognize the important role that natural assets play in increasing our resiliency to climate change and the town's investment. And so while we can include the actual numbers in our statements, we can include some commentary and some references to really show the value that these bring to the services that we provide. And so the town is investing in areas and that includes coastal resiliency modeling. We've got some urban forest planning. We've got some creek assessment and monitoring going on, aquifer monitoring, of course, as well. There's the expansion of the stormwater retention ponds, as well as a recent upgrade to the seaside sanitary pump station. So, and also our 2022 capital program has several projects which will further our progress in this area. So it's a really important area for the town that we focus on. Okay, last slide before I pass it back to you, Mr. Mayor. So just overall, the town's financial position continues to improve as we move towards long-term financial sustainability. As I mentioned, I was really pleased to see us moving towards inching quite steadily towards a net asset position as opposed to a net debt position. We also are focusing on and improving our sustainable service delivery and really increasing our resiliency to climate change. And so as mentioned, the financial statements are presented today for council's approval. And then with that, the recommendation being requested tonight is that the Town of Gibson's draft audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2021 be approved as presented. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director of Finance. And once again, an excellent report. I appreciate that the comments we received earlier from BDO, and I just commend yourself and your team for the continued high standard of excellence that you have worked for the town, and also the financial position you've guided us to. I mean, that's very important, and I trust that council will maintain that direction, and that increasing our assets and increasing our financial position in the future. It really holds us well in the event we run into any problems in the future. So I'll go to council. Does council have any questions? No, once again, that and for those who are watching council, we have council has seen this report and it has questions on it. So it's a good report. You're welcome to a copy. I don't know. Do we put these reports on our website, Director of Planning?
Through you, Mr. Barry, we do publish once the financial statements are fully adopted, we publish those on the website. And I can also provide Elizabeth a copy of the PowerPoint I just shared with council, and we could put that on as well as a summary.
Thank you very much. So recommendation is that we approve the December 31, 2021 financial statement as presented. Councillor Crowell, thank you. Councillor Andrade, thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much. And thank you again. You're progressing towards May 15th.
Yes, thank you very much.
Once again, thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have the Kirsten Rockins, Acting Director of Planning, it says here, but I know our Director of Planning is back. So Kirsten Rockins talking about the accessory lounge endorsement application for 1 Foot Crow Distillery, 1050 Venture Way.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just share my screen. And apologies, I've all but lost my voice. I hope I make it through. And yes, we have the Director of Planning back. When I wrote this, I didn't foresee that she would be here when this was presented. So thank you. So This report is seeking a resolution of council on the liquor license change application from One Foot Crow Distillery located at 1050 Venture Way, per the requirements of the referral that was received from the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch. Oh, sorry. So in summary of the application, which was heard 2 weeks ago, the requested change of liquor license for the distillery is to include a lounge endorsement with the manufacturer license for the distillery, allowing the distillery to serve mixed cocktails in its 12-person lounge area. Distilling is permitted as a principal use in the I-1 zone under the umbrella of manufacturing uses, and accessory sales of goods produced on site is permitted, provided that the floor area dedicated to such sales doesn't occupy more than 25% of the building. The existing sales and service area conforms with this provision. There are no proposed changes to the building and no changes to parking are required. Finally, the application was referred to the Fire Department, Bylaw Office, and RCMP, and no outstanding issues of concern were noted. The details of this application were heard by a committee of the whole 2 weeks ago on March 5th, and a resolution was made by council the same evening to notify neighbors and the public for an opportunity to comment on the application. And following Council Policy 1.26, staff placed 2 notices in the newspaper, which ran on April 8th and April 15th. That's in the Coast Reporter. Letters were also mailed to neighboring tenants and property owners within 100 meters of the property. And notices were posted at the distillery, at Town Hall, and on the town's webpage. No comments have been received in response to the notifications. The Liquor Board referral to the town requests a resolution of council or of staff in the case where such applications are delegated, with comments on the considerations listed here. These are the impact of noise on nearby residents, the impact of, on the community if the application is approved, the view of residents and description of the method used to gather views, and local government recommendations, including whether the application be approved and the reasons why, or sorry, on which they're based. So a resolution with council's comments is to be forwarded. Your resolution tonight will be forwarded to the LCRB within the 90-day period for the referral. So sorry for this pile of words. In response to the listed referral criteria from the LCRB, staff has provided draft recommendations, which are listed on page 1 of the report and in front of you. The recommendations reflect staff's support of the application based on its review of the proposal per town policies, as shared in the staff report presented 2 weeks ago, and based on no concerns identified through department referrals or neighbor notifications. So the recommendations are first that the mayor provide an opportunity for any member of the public whose interests might be affected by the proposal to speak tonight. That council authorizes the proposed changes to the liquor license for One Foot Crow Distillery at 1050 Venture Way, and that the following comments be forwarded to the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch. And that these are drafted by staff, and council's welcome to update as needed. But the service of products manufactured on site is supported as an accessory use in the zoning of the property, and the location of the establishment fronting on Venture Way active travel corridor is ideal for supporting customer patronage compatible with on-site and surrounding uses. B, as there are no neighboring residential uses, as the service area is small, and as the proposed service hours are consistent with other establishments in Gibsons operating without issue, noise issues are not expected to be a concern. Permitting the lounge endorsement would enhance tourism, cultural, and entertainment options for the community and support a local business in a manner that respects surrounding uses. These are values reflected in council's strategic plan and the town's official community plan. And per town policy, views of residents were gathered in the following ways. Neighbors within 100 meters of the business were notified, and so on. I've just listed those. And further, that any submissions be received from, any submissions received from the public be forwarded to the LCRB. Now, given that no written comments from the public have been received, council may opt to replace the final resolution with a note in bullet that, in the list of bullets, that no comments were received. Or you may make note of any verbal comments received at this meeting. So thank you. I can turn the screen back to you, or I can keep the recommendations up as you prefer.
You keep the recommendations up there, please. And thank you very much for your report, and thank you for your thoroughness in terms of the recommendations. We'll have an opportunity to discuss that. But before we do, I would ask if any member of the public wishes to comment on the proposed change to the liquor license for One Foot Crow Distillery at 1050 Gibsons Way. Invite you to make yourself known to our corporate officer.
If anyone has a question, please raise your hand. I see no hands raised, Mayor Beamish.
And I'll ask a second time if anybody has any comments on the proposed changes of the liquor license at One Foot Crow at 1050 Venture Way. And I'll ask a third time. Does anybody have any comments on the proposed change of liquor license to One Foot Crow at 1050 Venture Way?
No hands raised.
Thank you. Hearing none, I'll go to council. Council, do you have any questions for our planner or any comments on the proposed recommendations? Councillor Ladwig.
I support the recommendations as presented. I think it's a solid proposal. Councillor Kroll second that. I think it's a
Thank
solid
you.
proposal, and it won't impact anybody. And I think the report is very thorough, and the advice being provided to the liquor board is sound.
Well, I was actually anticipating a conflict of interest, you, Councillor Ladwig, because you had a one-footed duck at your place. I wonder if you were going to open up a restaurant or a distillery.
No.
You know, the one-footed duck survived, I suppose. Good. Okay, so we have a motion and seconded to endorse the recommendations. Any comments from council? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? We're unanimous. So thank you very much, Kirsten, for your presentation and for moving this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah. I saw that duck, I think, after you had it at your place. One-footed duck, yeah. Okay, we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, which is the recommendation relative to the temporary use permit change for the expanded patio use at 101 Brewer House and Distillery. And Kirsten Defoe, the planner, will present this.
Thank you, Mayor. It's actually Leslie Ann. I'll present it on Kirsten's behalf. I'll just share my screen here. Okay, are you seeing the right screen?
We are.
Okay, great. So thank you. This is a temporary use permit for continuation of an outdoor patio and change to associated liquor license. So this is for the 101 Brew House Distillery, and the purpose of this report is to share the public feedback, neighbor and public feedback, and to obtain a decision on whether to grant the applications. Council's resolution will be forwarded to the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch in response to their referral. And just a note for Council, the applicant, David Longman, is in the audience if you have questions directly for him after the presentation.
Thank you.
No problem. So this is the site, 1009 Gibsons Way. So the brewery is located on 1009 Gibsons Way, which is shown in the yellow outline, and the patio is shown on the neighboring property, which is on the blue outlined property. So the applicants propose to continue the use of an outdoor patio after the expiry of the provincial TESA regulations. This requires a temporary use permit for the outdoor sales on a lot other than where the product is manufactured in the I-1 zone, and a liquor license change to add the patio to the approved service area. Just another note for council, I think since this report was written, existing TESAs can now be extended from what was initially going to expire on June 1st, 2022 to March 31st, 2023. So licensees do not need to apply for this extension, and there are no associated costs for licensees, but local governments can raise concerns until April 22nd about the existing TESA authorizations. Okay, the temporary use permit is to allow a use not otherwise allowed by the zoning bylaw. So again, it's in the industrial zone, so wouldn't necessarily allow this use. It can be granted for a term of 3 years or less. The LGA, the Local Government Act, allows a permit holder the ability to apply to renew the permit one time only. And the proposal satisfies the intent of the OCP and the strategic plan. So this slide shows where we are in the application process. The 101 Brew House and Distillery has applied to the town and the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch for a change to its liquor license. The LCRB referred the application to the town for comment and requires a response within 90 days. Staff has provided recommended referral comments for council's consideration in the report. So basically, the application was received. We went out to the neighbor, or we received the application. We began referrals. It went to the committee to request neighbor notification. We sent out notifications to neighbors and we put 2 ads in the newspaper. And now we're at the point of coming back to council for a decision. And then the resolution will be forwarded to the LCRB. So at the time of writing the staff report, no written comments were received. Since then, 4 written comments were received from residents east of the 101 Brew House and Distillery, and all 4 submissions were in opposition to the patio. The written responses are included in the agenda package for tonight's meeting. Since the agenda was consolidated, we did receive 1 more email, which I've cut and pasted in the slide here. And it was from a resident, a neighbor resident. And I'll just read it out so that everybody has a chance to review it. So this resident said, I have the following questions concerning this matter. 1, will musical bands be allowed outside? If so, this would be a disturbance to the local residents at Blue Heron. 2, are the hours of operation such that they close at 10 p.m. as on their website or 11 p.m. as on Google? Maybe closing the outdoor dining and drinking area after 10 p.m. avoid noise issue for the residents of Blue Heron. 3, parking for the distillery should be limited to their property and not use the parking for the Blue Heron. Divider, not sure, between, a division maybe between parking lots would solve this issue. Cars would not be able to drive behind the condos at Blue Heron. 4, the map provided with the mail out suggests that the size of the patio will be increased. The issue here is noise level and cars making noise after 10 p.m. due to the patio activity. So that submission was from John M. Morganti. What I've done here is just put a little excerpt from the Anti-Noise Bylaw, just to show that the quiet hours from Monday to Thursday is 2200 to 7 o'clock. So 10 to 7. And then Friday to Sunday, it's 11 to 8. And then New Year's Day, it's 1 to 7. So in total, 4 concerns about noise, or 5 concerns from neighbors about noise. In terms of referral comments, the RCMP had no issues. It was referred to the Bylaw Enforcement Office, and 1 noise complaint was received in 2020, but it was noise during permitted hours. Infrastructure Services had no objections, but noted that water service can be no water service can be extended into the TUP area from the existing building as per the bylaw. The building department had no concerns because there's no increase to occupancy or no change to the building access is proposed. and the fire department had no concerns. So the recommendations are on page 1 and 2 of the staff report, and they haven't been cut and paste here. They are on the agenda as well. Do you want me to read them out, Mayor? Or
yeah, I think for the benefit of those who perhaps are on the telephone.
okay, great. So I'll just stop sharing my screen here. Okay, and then what I'll do is I will share another screen. Okay, so the recommendation in the report is that the report be received, that the mayor provides an opportunity for those affected by the proposed TUP and liquor license change for 1009 Gibsons Way and the adjacent property to the west provide comment on the application. That council authorizes the issuance of the TUP for an outdoor patio at the property adjacent to the west of 1009 Gibsons Way for a term of 3 years. And that council authorizes the proposed change to the liquor license for the 101 Brew House and Distillery to include a permanent outdoor patio next to the building at 1009 Gibsons Way with no net increase to the person occupancy for the establishment. And further, that the following comments be forwarded to the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch in response to the liquor license application referral to the town. And these comments can be tweaked as council wishes. So A, given the well-buffered commercial location of the business and patio and the lack of issue with the existing temporary patio, the proposed permanent patio is not expected to cause an appreciable noise impact for nearby residents. Approval of the patio through the liquor license change would support the official community plan's intent for the mixed-use commercial designation to allow for a wide range of retail and office use, restaurants, and visitor accommodations in a pedestrian-oriented environment. And C, per town policy, views of residents were gathered in the following ways. Residents and property owners within 100 meters of the business were notified of the license change request by mail. Notices were posted on the town's website, at town hall, and at the establishment, and an advertisement was posted in the newspaper for 2 consecutive weeks inviting comment on the proposal. At the time of writing, no written comments were received, so we can change that and send the 5 written comments if council wishes to forward those comments to the LCRB as well. So those are the recommendations in the staff report. There were some alternative recommendations as well. So alternatively, council may propose to alternate the resolutions that address the referral criteria from the LCRB, update comments regarding views of the community to reflect new feedback received since the report was written, or council may deny the request with the following resolution, so that council does not support the TUP, and that council directs staff to advise the LCRB of council's decision not to allow the patio. So those are your options. And if you have any questions about the hours of operations or anything like that, the applicant is here in the audience.
Thank you. Before I go to provide an opportunity for comment, I'll go to council. Does council have any questions? I'm going to reframe the same questions I had last time, and the director of planning wasn't present. There are 2 of them. One is given that the proposed open area is on a separate lot that with a separate address, a unique address. Can that be considered an ancillary use to the existing 101 brew house and distillery?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
So because it's a temporary use permit, it's specifically allowing a use that's not allowed in the zoning bylaw. So it can be allowed on this property because it's essentially the primary use to this new lot, but but the way it actually functions is as an accessory use to the distillery that's next door. But the approach through the temporary use permit would allow the use.
Is the lot in the same named ownership as the brew house?
I am not sure about that. Kirsten, do you know?
Yeah, my understanding is that the ownership is different for the two lots. They include some of the same people, but there's multiple owners on the lots and they're not the same for each lot.
Well, should the application come from the ownership of the lot as well as the brew house?
We always require on an application the signature of the owner. So we would have the applicant, can be anyone, but as long as they have the signature of the owners.
So I don't know, is the owner, are the owners individuals or the corporation with individuals?
This might be a question for the applicant. I don't have that in
Okay,
front of me.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, my concern is simply that we are making a lawful decision under our bylaw here. That's all. I mean, I'm not at this time questioning the use or the purpose. I'm just questioning that we don't get ourselves into a jackpot authorizing a use on a property owned by somebody else who comes along, and that eventually there becomes a dispute potentially between owners, and we are caught in the middle of it because we've authorized a use on a essentially which is a private property adjacent to the existing property. So, and I appreciate there's a combined ownership, but one never knows what happens. So the Councillor Lumley, go ahead.
We ask Mr. Longman, he's sitting here, like he'll know who owns the property, I would imagine.
Yep. Yeah, and but can he answer? I'm asking the legal questions of our planning department firstly before I ask the proponent. Are we comfortable from a legal perspective that what we are doing is allowed?
I can answer that. I mean, when we take in any development application, we do require a title, and we do require the applicant and the owner to sign the application form. So by receiving a signature from the applicant and mainly from the owner, that covers our legal basis to proceed with a land use application.
And we're comfortable that on the ancillary use on a separate title is a true ancillary use to the main title.
Well, it's a different title, so it's not an ancillary use. It's a temporary use. So it's a standalone use on a different property.
Okay.
Which is why it's a temporary use permit application.
Yeah. It's unusual to find a standalone use of being an area to serve liquor and drink liquor as being the only purpose of standalone use, without a washroom, without water, without services. Okay, that's just I want to make sure that we are going to do this for the next applicant that comes along. Okay, so that I have an idea, the lot next to me, unserviced property, I want to put I want to serve liquor there. I'm going to make it in my house. I'm going to serve it next door. And no, we don't have washrooms. No, we don't have this and that, the other thing. But I just want to make sure that council can live with this decision down the road as a precedent to the next decision and another application. That's all I want to make sure. Yeah, I'll go to Council Kroll first. He has his hand up.
If you wouldn't mind, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Lumley, go ahead.
The extension, which was already in use prior, these are COVID. These are liquor license COVID.
Yep.
The applications had to be in a while ago. Like, another property can't just dream this up now and institute it. Yeah. You would have to be granted it a while ago by the liquor license before you could even do it. So I don't think there's going to be a rash of people doing it because they won't get.
No, this is beyond the COVID one.
They won't get approved by the liquor license.
Yeah, this is now going beyond COVID, those Councillor Lumley. This is going to a temporary use permit under our bylaw.
Yes, but the liquor, you would have to file with the liquor license last year by the end of October if you wanted to keep your increased
Oh,
extra seating
Yeah.
from COVID.
definitely, but we are issuing a temporary use permit for a property, which
know.
is, which is, like, I'm not arguing against it. I'm just saying, make sure we're doing what we are doing is legal. That's all I'm saying.
Let's just say it won't come up in the future unless we have another pandemic. That's all I'm saying.
No, it could come up because it's a temporary use permit we're authorizing.
But they won't be able to get their liquor license.
Well, we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could,
For every reason you just said.
we have this problem on another property in town, and you recognize that.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so that's all I say. Okay, Councillor Kroll.
What I'm finding a bit curious is, we had a similar situation with the 101, or not the 101, with Tapworks. And it's a situation where it's property that is being used, it isn't a totally different owner, and we approved it. So, I somewhat appreciate the concerns you're going with, but I'm sensing, I'm the only concern I have with any of this is the couple of comments from nearby residents with respect to noise. And I think the proponent is in the audience. He's heard the comments about noise and is probably quite prepared to deal with that.
Okay, okay. So we're finished the conversation on legality, and council is comfortable with the legality. Because the one we talked about the other one, and our staff told us it was different zoning. It didn't have the same definition. We had talked about that last time. So if you're comfortable with, if CAS staff and if our corporate officer has looked at it, and they're comfortable with the legality, that's the only concern I have. We'll deal with the noise, we'll deal with the other things, but I want to make sure that the next one that comes in, we're setting a precedent for. It can be done. Director of Planning.
Thank you, Mayor. So yeah, this is a little bit different to Tapworks because Tapworks was zoned for that use. So it was a permitted use, and it was just a question of change to the liquor license. This is different because the use is not allowed on that property, and because the applicant has some long-range development plans on that property, they have chosen to apply for a temporary use permit. So the alternative would be to rezone that property for a permanent use. But the direction they wanted to go in was that the temporary use, because it is intended to be a temporary patio at that point. But that covers the land use requirements.
Yeah. Councillor Ladwick.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about us setting a precedent with this application. It's a really unique situation. Not many businesses are going to come forward with a huge vacant lot right next to their establishment.
Oh, it could.
But even if they did, I would argue that the precedent that we're setting right now is a positive one, and that we're showing that we're adaptable and flexible to support businesses, not only during difficult times.
And that our bylaws don't matter, okay?
No,
Great.
that's not what I'm saying. If there's any kind of legal challenge, that would be between whoever signs the document and the other owners of that property. As long as we have an owner on the property, according to our director of planning, we're covered. That's between them.
No, I disagree with that view, because I believe our bylaws take precedence, and we should be following our bylaws. That's all.
So how do you see that we're not following our bylaw?
Because it's not a permitted use on that site, and it's a separate title. And it's so say the Blackfish wanted to put a similar patio on the next door property, next door title of they buy a lot and they say, okay, we're gonna set this up as a drinking establishment, strictly a drinking establishment, not a production, not anything else. Strictly, this is where people are going to drink.
And I would say if they own that property and it's a creative solution to
different owners, but yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean,
same owner.
Yeah.
That's
there is some continuity of ownership between owners, but they are different owners. It's a different title.
Would we like to see a letter of support from the corporation that owns that large?
They're going to have to sign the temporary use permit. But yeah. So, okay, we're having the conversation and it's out there, but we make the decision And I don't object to the idea. I just want to make sure the council is making a lawful decision and you're comfortable with it. And the corporate officer is comfortable with it, because that's where the staff has got to protect council to make sure they make a lawful decision. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, just for the record, if I may, we have no reason to believe this is not a lawful decision. It's
Okay.
simply authorizing a use under the Local Government Act, and that's why that process is in place. So just for what it's worth, we have absolutely no issue with what's being done.
Okay, okay. Good. Councilor Diandrad?
Okay, Mayor, thank you. I think, well, obviously I want to be lawful. So I need a peace of mind to understand that this is lawful, first of all. I don't know if we need to get a legal opinion or just the opinion of staff right now is enough. I think my second concern is with the noise, because this area was not supposed to have this, and there's noise complaint, I feel concerned. So I wonder if council feels that we should establish the same hours that our anti-noise bylaw permits noise. So from weekdays, the patio has to close at 10, and on the weekends at least, or from Friday to Sunday, whatever is the legislation. Because I think it's opening precedent, right? I mean, this was not supposed to be for this specific use. We want to support, obviously, it's good for business, it's good for the town, but the moment that you infringe in people's rights to be quiet, I see as a concern. And I understand just opening the doors, it's already a lot of noise. And I don't know how much complaints they had in this regard. Well, they said the staff report says that was only one, but I just feel concerned because we had 4 or 5 people coming forward from the area complaining about noises. So.
Okay, I'll now go to the question. Does anybody have any concerns about this application? And I see Mr. Longman's got his hand up, so we'll ask Mr. Longman to have any comments. Dave, go ahead. You're still muted, Dave. Okay, does anybody else have any comments or concerns about the application?
Hi there.
Oh, there you are, Dave, okay.
Fart.
No, you're muted again.
Hello.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not hearing you. I'm sorry, you guys. Can you see me?
No, I can't see you, but we can hear you now. Yeah. Where are you? Dave, can you hear us?
Hey there.
You were there for a second.
Hello?
There you
Hello?
are. Yeah,
Getting somewhere.
go ahead.
Sorry, you guys. Apologize.
No.
Oh, you can hear me?
We can hear you and we can see you now.
I can't
too.
hear you guys. So bear with me because I'm not gonna be able to respond to any comments that come through. Thank you, Mayor, Council, and staff. To try to put some context to maybe some of the confusion, I've sort of had some other talking points, but I'll address the ownership groups amongst the ownership of the 101, the landlord, and the adjacent property. I'm the primary owner in all three situations. Although the decisions being made on this are being made by all the partners of all those systems. So everybody around all three of these entities are highly aware of what's trying to be achieved here, and everybody supports it. So I think you have that paperwork in hand. I would say when I take on complicated issues like this, I try to break them down and say, what is the greater good? And you just have to ask yourself, why was this legislation put into place in the first place? It's because COVID isn't behind us yet. We're going to be any opportunity that we can get to divide our people coming to the 101, our total occupancy, I believe, is 109, and have them share that space outside and inside is a good thing for the health of the community. So I think that's pretty self-evident. As for the few complaints that came through today, it tells me that I shouldn't be complacent and try to get everybody who was supporting these things to write letters, although I did say it to a few people, none of them followed up, which is so often the case with these things. People take them for granted. All of the, I quickly breeze through the letters. There's 4 of them. They're all 4 neighbors. All 4 of them are sales that have happened since the 101 has been opened and the hours of operation are posted on our door. So I would suggest that to degree mitigates that. Certainly we want to meet any bylaws that were obligated to be met. I think that in the agenda, they said that there was only 1 complaint in the last 5 years of operation about our hours, and then that ended ultimately that we were following the bylaws and following the rules of our liquor establishment. So, I think you have to take that with a grain of salt. This is what makes for a vibrant community. When you live in these hybrid commercial areas, many people are going to look for that in when they move into a development like this. It's certainly not where you're going to want to be if you're looking for a quiet, non-bustling area. The coffee shops open at 6 in the morning, and there's people coming and going from there, and it's a dervishing place. As I think one of the residents mentioned something about parking. The parking that they're speaking about, they don't even have a clear understanding of their development themselves. That development site has parking spots that are dedicated to the 101's parking, and they're actually adjacent on the property to the south of the Blue Heron development. And all of that parking has been put in there as overflow parking beyond the required parking of all the collective developments we've installed there. So that is largely what I have to say. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Also, have any questions of Mr. Longman? No, Dave, you've answered all the questions. Thank you.
Sorry, Bill, I'm not hearing anything.
Okay. No questions. No questions. We have no questions. Okay, somebody can text Mr. Longman and let him know we have no questions. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Dave, we have no questions. Okay, thank you. Okay, is there anybody else who has any comments to provide, any wishes to make any presentation relative to this proposal? Okay, that's for a third time. For a third time, is there anybody else requesting to make a comment on this proposal?
Mayor Beamish, we have a hand raised. I'm moving over John Morganti.
Thank you.
John Morganti.
Mr. Morganti, you unmute yourself?
Okay.
Yeah, we hear you. We see.
Yeah, no, I just I didn't understand the parking that Dave Longman just explained, but I guess it's just with one of these things, the map that was sent out, it had in red the area that's being used now, but I think there's also the area to the west is also being used, is it not? This is the one that was sent out to the people.
I see the notice that went out.
Yeah, there's that area that shows that brick pattern.
Yeah.
With the I think that's set up now, is it not?
That's correct. Yes.
So that's being used now. And so the expansion just extends that, takes those picnic table like things and moves those out.
Yeah, it looks like it, yeah. Looks like it gets closer to the west side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the only issue I was mentioning about the divider, which I guess I'll retract since I didn't understand how the parking was set up on those two areas, since they're both owned by Dave to some extent, although there are 6 condos in there. The issue is that when the cars go around behind, they sometimes rev up at night, and it wakes, according to talking to other people who live there, they wake people up when they go by that road that goes behind, because the master bedrooms of those condos are on the back side of the building of the Blue Heron.
So their concern is not the noise from the patio, but the noise from the vehicles.
Well, it depends. Some people are working because the way the condos are set up, like I rent mine out, and the person there is a techie, and so they tend to work from the front, and but the talking to other people who live there, who a couple are retired, it's the back. So the noise issue can be worked out. There just has to be some rules. And if you have some rules and you follow the rules, then things work out. I haven't seen the closing times posted on the door because I haven't been there. But I just checked Google and checked the website. So I'm still not sure what time they close.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Atwood, do you have a question?
Just a clarification on the last comment we heard. This application is not expanding the patio. It's already that size. It's just continuing its use. So the line that's there is already permitted.
Okay, because I interpreted that brick pattern to be the area that's set up right now.
Yeah.
And then the other area, I guess, is so it doesn't expand the area at all.
No, those picnic tables are already there and they're already in use.
Yeah.
It's on grass instead of paving stones.
Okay.
Councillor Lumley?
And the first letter from the public, she's confused too, because she's writing in because she thinks they're going to put the patio where the current parking is.
Yeah.
If you read her letter, so they're a little confused. So
yeah, I've interpreted the map that the place, the outdoor area will be around the corner to the other side of the building, toward away from the Blue Heron and BMO.
Yeah, I'm going to go to our planner. When I look at the map and then look at the picture on page 81, I see a larger patio on page 81 than I see on the map. Is that correct or not?
So my understanding of the application is the patio is already there. So it's previously existed as a temporary service area. And it's the same patio. So
okay.
it's on, so they have a patio that's attached to the north of the distillery.
Yeah.
That's been there for a long time. The Tessa, which is the temporary expanded service area, is on the neighboring property.
Yeah.
And what they're applying for is for a temporary use permit to keep that patio for a 3-year term.
Okay. I just see the red, the darker hatched area on the letter that went out to the community is actually a smaller area than is on page 81 of the, and you can see that because you see where the corner cutoff is for the property. It's much closer on the page 81 presentation than it is on the one that went out to the neighbors. Yeah, you see there, you see that corner cutoff up at the top left-hand corner on the west side. The corner, go work to the property line.
This property line?
Yeah, that corner cutoff there. Keep going further. No, further. There. Okay. and look at that compared to the one that went out to the public.
This is the letter that went out to the public. So this was part of the notification.
Okay.
So this is the existing patio that was there.
Yeah.
This is the previously approved TESA.
Yeah.
And they're wanting to keep
Okay.
it.
Yeah. But you see on page 82 of our agenda, it has the notice of application for temporary use permit, change of liquor license that went out to the public. It has a smaller area. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's intended to be the same.
It's intended to be the same. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, council, where are you? Councilor Diandrade?
I just want to understand with regards to the issue with noise parking, if there's anything practical that could be done to avoid that the cars will drive. But I don't know how the developer, the applicant can respond because he cannot hear. Because he would be nice if he would address that. And I would have a question for John Morganti too. If now that he understands that the patio is not expanding and everything remains the same, and if there's still noise concerns.
Dave, can you hear us yet?
He can hear you now.
Okay.
So if you have questions.
You're muted, Dave. You're muted. Okay, now you're not muted. Okay. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Great. Was there a question for me?
Questions about the noise, Dave.
So I'll give a few observations about the noise of people exiting, and I'll actually comment even farther because I was scrolling through the letters. You'll notice that and we've got cameras up here, so we get alerted when noise is going on. There's a bank machine at the Bank of Montreal. So the majority of the traffic that's happening, particularly after hours, is often people going to those bank machines at all hours. You know, our cameras go off all night long with people doing whatever they do. Why they're going to bank machines at 3 o'clock in the morning is confusing to me, but it's happening all the time. We've done what we can. One of the complaints in there was a phone call that I took personally from one of the residents where they said that we installed a bright light at the back of the building and we told them to put a darkening shade on their window. And the reason that was done is we had, previous to that resident who just moved in there about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, if memory serves me, we had many complaints about people after hours trying to drink alcohol in the parking lot and stuff like that. As well as we had staff concerned about going out into a dark parking lot and getting back to their cars. So we brightened the parking lot in desire to mitigate the noise to the neighbor and people behaving inappropriately in the back of the parking lot, and also make our young servers feel safe getting to their cars. You know, I'm open-minded to ideas that you guys throw at us, but trying to control human behavior is a tricky thing. I wouldn't say that the vast majority of those cars whipping around are necessarily people leaving the 101 at late hours. Certainly our hours on Fridays and Saturday nights are allowed to be to 1 a.m. Currently, we don't have enough staff to be open more than half time right now because of all the labor and rental shortages on the Sunshine Coast. When that resolves itself, we'd love to be back to those hours again, but understand that we have to do that meeting the noise bylaws that the town already requires of us.
Councilor Ludwig?
Yeah, I just want to remind folks that regardless of whether or not we supported this application today or not, it wouldn't change the number of cars or the capacity that the 101 is allowed to carry. They would just be inside instead of outside. So that's not going to affect traffic. That's not going to affect the car noise. I mean, that we've authorized this brewery to be there. It's operating within its bylaws and its regulations. And whether we support this bylaw or not, the cars are the same. So that to me is a non-issue that we're facing today. The one thing that I think we should ask Mr. Longman about is around the management of noise. I think that's a legitimate question for neighbors to have. And I personally think having bands playing outside is a really vibrant contribution to the community, but I would be curious to hear about kind of hours and days in which you guys allow bands to play. So is it just on weekends? Is it until 1 a.m? You know, like, how do you guys manage that? That's about the only thing I can think of from a noise perspective that we should be thinking about from a neighborly perspective.
Thank you for that question. So the patio, the grass patio has only been out there since late.
We've lost you, Dave. There you're back. Okay.
Okay. So last summer, I think we had 3 concerts outside, and all of them were done by, well, one of them was an afternoon concert and the other 2 were done by 10 p.m. way before what we're allowed to do on the inside of the establishment. You know, we certainly wouldn't be closed-minded to make a commitment here that we won't have live bands playing past 10 p.m. outside, which would be a restriction on what we already currently have in place. I'll say that, that's a better question for the residents. I don't know if that's a complaint or if it's traffic or if it's people coming and going. If it's people coming and going from our establishment during our business hours, I'd hate to sound tough, but they've kind of signed up. It's no different than living in Yaletown and stuff like that. It's part of the charm of living in a community like that, to take advantage of those luxuries.
Like maybe buying a house on Gibsons Way and then complaining about traffic.
Councillor Lumley, you had a question?
I don't have a question. I was actually going to move the recommendations, and I'll tell you why. Is because and I think Illyria hit on it as well, which I was going to say was that the people are going to use the outside portion when they don't want to sit inside, and the people aren't going to sit outside when you can't sit outside. They'll sit inside. The actual fact is that it's going to be about the same amount of people. And if it's summertime, it's summertime. I mean, it's light out later. I really find it hard to believe someone's going to bed before 10 o'clock. But, and you know what? COVID's like basically 3 years. And all these businesses have suffered. And 2 months in the summer, or 2.5 months in the summer. So how long would it take to make up for 3 years when you're increasing your sales over 2.5 months every year? Long time. So, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't, like the one lady about the noise is confused. 1 complaint in 5 years for a pub, that's pretty good. Noise in the credit union parking lot, who knows where those people are from or what they're doing. It's really hard to like nail it down. So like, I don't know, I think we've exhausted this. That's why I'd like to move the recommendations. And hopefully someone seconds them and we can move on.
Okay, Councillor Kroll, second them.
Seconding it, sir, but I'd also, back when the beginning of COVID, when I was driving around the community doing the business watch, one of the areas that I drove through regularly on our rounds was we'd go in the 101 entrance off the highway, check their back area to make sure there was no one tampering with the containers there that they had for hand sanitizer, go back out. We were constantly amazed at 2 o'clock in the morning or later, people at the bank machine. And, it attracts, and, there were a couple follow-up files that were created because of the activity at the bank machine and whether people went from there to carry on other transactions. So, in Mr. Longman's defense, it is when you have residential over commercial, and we're looking at doing it in other areas of the community, it's a potential problem. But I certainly recommend that we grant this TUP, and I second it.
Councillor Ludwig.
I support it as well, but I'd like to amend it if possible to include the second to last bullet that's in the previous application for the 1 foot crow. I really like the language that was used in that bullet. So in that proposal, they say permitting the lounge endorsement, or in this case would be the extended patio, would enhance tourism, cultural and entertainment options for the community and support a local business in a manner that respects surrounding uses. I'd just like to have that added to the comments to the liquor board. So I'd like to amend it.
Okay, you've seconded the amendment, so we'll vote on the amendment. Council, all in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Councilor D'Andrade, you oppose the amendment? Okay. Okay. So now we will be including, go to staff.
Okay. Should I answer? I didn't realize that you were voting on the amendment, so I was slow in, because I was looking for the where the amendment was.
Thank you.
I'm not opposed.
Okay, thank you. The staff, will the letters that were received accompany the application to the liquor branch?
Yes, we can make sure that the liquor branch receives those.
Thank you. Okay, on the main motion, all in favor of the main motion? I'll call the question. Yeah. Okay, and I'm voting on this on the basis that we've been advised by council that this is a lawful zoning use of the property, and by staff that it's a lawful use of the property. So I don't oppose to the idea. I just want to make sure we're not setting a precedent. Councillor Kroll, you had a question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, because of the confusion that came about with respect to the letters, people not understanding things, I don't know, is it appropriate for staff to just comment that there was a misunderstanding here, that with respect to the parking and people not realizing the exact?
I don't know that we can do that, because it's up to the people to express their own. If they misunderstood it, it's up to them to express that.
But
we don't know what they understood. Yeah. Okay, Councilor D'Andrade.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. I appreciate the applicant, how he's stating here that he's respectful to the community and he would work in any situation that needs to be done to change any outcome that is possible. So I appreciate that. I want to support this type of business. At the same time, we want to respect the community around it. So.
Good. Okay, Mr. Longman, our recommendation to the liquor license branch will be to approve, and we will. Well, actually, we're approving the temporary use permit, and so that'll be done. So yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's time, energy, and I would like to thank the planning staff for all their hard work on this file. They were always very professional. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure what we did there. No, but that's okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
You guys hear that the recording is stopped? And
that's Dave Longman's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was on his system.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, and we are going to be needing, obviously, an extension for tonight's meeting, but we'll go on to the corporate services, music and the landing. And this is the program that's proposed for this year. This is late to your agenda, but the information came in and we promised them an answer because they have to start organizing the music and organizing the band. So I met with Kevin Crofton just over a week ago now, and he's proposed, and you'll find it on your agenda on the additional information submitted, that the proposal for music and landing for this summer. And it includes the Saturday afternoon and evenings in Weingarten Park and on the gazebo. I believe the gazebo is on Friday night. And then also in the summertime, there would be opportunity for buskers on Sunday at the bus stop above Weingarten Park. Seemed to be the best use of that area since we've got some cover there. So And that would be for the events that are going on. And then in addition to that, organizing around things that we haven't had before. Like we don't normally do a Canada Day, but thought that we'd do a Canada Day this year, focusing Lucy Herder, Ukrainian performers, and a Canada 150 music tribute show. And then on the July 16th would be the Squamish Ocean Canoe family. And that's a fundraiser for them. They came in, they were there last year. If anybody took it in, it's a lot of fun for the people. They get to dance and enjoy it. July 16th, long weekend. They're looking at kind of a major weekend, primarily focused on around kids for the weekend events. Labor Day weekend, again, local bands and live music. Normally what we've had on those times is simply being the kind of the one day and music. This is a expansion on what they've done last year and what they've done in the past. And the idea of the Labor Day, that would be a summer end celebration. And that would be the celebration that we talked about, doing something fairly large for the community, but the end of summer, because the weather gets very iffy after that, and having events. So, but in order to kind of move forward, they need council to agree that this is a program that council can support. And it's within budget. It's been proposed, and that Kevin Crofton and Peter Hill are proposing that they would be the coordinators again this year like they did last year. And last year they came in late to the game. We managed to get something started for Canada Day, but it was nothing, no kind of organized pattern for the summer. They just kind of had to make it up as they went along. So this year will be much more planned and event oriented, and I think it looks for like a very active summer in Lower Gibsons with this program. So I don't know if I can answer any questions to council. Kevin, I see they were going to be there. Yeah, Kevin is there. You want to bring Kevin forward, please? I see he has his hand up anyway. Corporate officer?
Yes, Kevin's joining you now.
Okay, Kevin's there now. Yep. Kevin, you need to unmute. There you are. Good. Thank you.
There we go.
Yeah, good.
Hope everybody can hear me.
We can hear you. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I'm just here to ask any questions, or if I can explain anything further as well. You know, and part of this is I started doing this along with some involvement with Peter Hill last summer, again, late into the game, partly because of COVID, and this money was allocated. And we were able to put together at Wine Garden, basically for the summer, music during the afternoon, and then music with bands every evening from 7 till 9, which has been sort of the standard music on the landing situation. There was a lot of interest, a lot of demands from a lot of great local musicians and bands. Extremely well attended. I was really happy with that, and even people who have done music on the landing before had commented that, you know, we were having on average at least 200 people. For some of the events we had about 300, and my understanding is there were no complaints at all around sound at all during the entire summer. There were a couple of special events that I coordinated last summer, and the one that I felt was really moving was the Squamish Ocean Canoe family, and them being able to present their songs and dances and have a real connection with our community here. And that was really well attended, and they had a lot of generous donations that came from the audience as well. So, you know, was just looking and expanding on that as well. But I think you can all see the two proposals for Music on the Landing and the special events. And, you know, I'm just kind of here to explain or add or, you know, offer any kind of help with any questions you have.
Kevin, could you give council a sense of your experience and background?
Yeah, I manage, I mean, my day job is I work with Watari Counseling Support Services, so I manage a number of different programs in Vancouver. I've been a musician myself for a number of years, played in Music on the Landing and lots of other festivals and concerts here in the community. I've also been involved with the theater community through Driftwood, as well as with a number of productions that David King, a local playwright, was involved with. So I feel like I've had really good relationships with a lot of the musicians and performers here. So as far as putting together Music on the Landing last summer, I thought that was the real kind of template for me as to how that went. And again, I think I was surprised how well it went, and just you know, I think one big part for me as well is when you're delegating certain people to have a really key role in providing this. To me, one of the most important people is to have a really reliable sound person. And Clarence Dees was involved with that last summer, doing most of the afternoon and evening shows. That I think was really, really important as well. And using that, not the band shell, but the space that's just a little bit closer to where the top part of Weingarten Park is. I don't know if we had other council people attending any of the music last summer, but that's been an extremely popular place for all musicians because the sound is much, much better in that particular location. And we just have, I had some volunteers helping out last summer as well, and had some involvement from London Drugs and others as well in donating canopy tents, things like that, just kind of, you know, being part of the whole event to help make that happen. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, now, council, what's your wishes? Need to, Councilor Lumley? Yeah.
Yeah, of course, I support Music on the Landing. I'm not quite sure about the $14,000 though. It just seems like I don't remember discussing it, but yeah, I'm just having a hard time wrapping my mind around, hey, this festival's not going to happen. Well, we'll just throw the money at something else. The town doesn't have a lot of money. It seems a little bit fiscally irresponsible just to figure that the funds are there and then we have to spend them. Again, I completely agree to setting a budgeted amount for the music in the Landing, and then obviously having Music in the Landing live up to that budgeted amount or work within that budgeted amount. But it just seems like we're frivolously throwing money around. That's all. I'm just, we've got a lot of other expenses that we, you know, you've got a severely underfunded hospice agency on the coast. And we said, here's $4,000, here's an extra $1,000. And I mean, I don't know, it just seems we've got a lot of people and we've got a lot of things and concerns in a small community. And just, you know, I'm uncomfortable with seeing that, well, there's no sea cavalcade, let's just spend that money immediately. So, I mean, the Music in the Landing's been living within a certain amount of budget, which is great. I think it's worked. They've made it work and they do a good job. And I think everybody that's down there enjoys it. But I mean, if we're going to spend $35,000 this year and then it's 40, then 50, you're talking about like, you know, 1.5% of taxation to the public. I mean, it's a big nut. We got to save for policing. There's all kinds of things that we haven't discussed, but and have discussed, but it just seems a little irresponsible to me. That's all.
I guess I'm not sure how we got to 1.5% of taxation, but since it's not on the paper there, so it's but the funds, all those funds were budgeted for events this year. That is budgeted money for events.
And I think, if I can speak to that as well, I think, one big motivation as well is, for example, the Squamish Ocean Canoe Family, it's a fundraiser that is certainly an extra cost than there would be for, one of the music and the landing events. In kind of understanding that 14,000 had been allocated, seeing a way of being able to distribute that money for basically these 4 events throughout the summer. And then so essentially that's all of these events, whether it's the Canada Day, the Squamish Ocean Canoe Family, the BC Day Long Weekend, kind of a children's festival, and Labor Day weekend, that's where all of that's going to. But I'm certainly open to any input or advice or amendments to that as far as that goes.
Councilor Dindred?
Thanks, Mayor. I fully support. I think we have been 2 years stranded. The artists have been struggling. I think this is a great opportunity. We can also make an evaluation at the end and understand, and perhaps the following year we won't have all the funding. I think we don't have Sea Cavalcade, and I think this is almost a special occasion. I see it, so I don't have a problem supporting. I think we need this to revitalize and also to bounce back all these dark times that we had. So I'm supportive.
I think with some of the special events, I also wanted to look just beyond music as well. Like for the Children's Festival, having a lot of arts and crafts, Indigenous person, doing workshops on making dream catchers. Obviously music being a part of that component, but just a real sort of coming together with that whole aspect of community and family on the BC Day long weekend. And then in kind of talking to some of the other people that have been very involved with kids music and kids events, it looked like there was a lot of interest. And this is obviously kind of at an early stage of it, but I think it could certainly evolve as well. With some of the kinds of kids activities that would come out of that, and also having an opportunity for some of the high school musicians and local dance academies, and some of the local fiddlers as well. That's in the proposal.
Councilor Kroll?
So the total amount we're looking at is 32,400. Is that?
That's correct.
Yeah, so, it is 1% of taxation, as Councillor Lumley pointed out. We were given a statistic of, 200 people attending a concert, with, going back to Sea Cavalcade days and events where we had, for example, an open house at Molly's Reach, and we had 5,000 people come through on a weekend. So a few more people coming to a free event that didn't cost the taxpayers anything, and we drew 5,000 people. I just find $32,000 for the number of days and attracting 300 or 400 people a little expensive. I agree with Councillor Dandretti that people are looking forward to some sort of release. But I personally feel that $32,400 is a lot to spend in one fell swoop. We could have a summer of monsoon rains and nobody counts, but we've committed the money. So, I do have reservation with that amount, and, certainly a valid reference that Councillor Lumley mentioned with some of the, Councillor Dandretti this afternoon was asking for money for the Heritage Playhouse. What about them? To spend this amount of money in one area, it doesn't sit well. I don't mean to sound like a Grinch. I appreciate what Kevin is trying to do in supporting artists in the community, and I'm all for that. Some of the people he's listed as performers are friends of mine, and I have, I'm all about supporting them, but this commitment for one venue, I think is a little too much. You know, Music in the Landing worked with half that amount and managed to pull it off. So maybe the scope of the project is just a little too ambitious.
Well, and
Yeah,
they are
no.
they're two separate proposals too, as well. You know, one of them is the Music and the Landing one, which is the money that's been allocated for that, and then the special events one is separate.
Yeah, I mean, we've spent $18,000 for Music and Landing and $15,000 for fireworks. So this is the fireworks money that we're spending on enhanced Music and Landing. But it's up to council. We can amend the budget because it's in the budget for this. Councilor Dindrat?
I'm just wondering, because obviously there's a spin-off of tourism, a component. Do we get, and I know tourism overall collects tax, do we get anything back from them?
No.
Any fund, any support? Yeah.
No, we don't. We need council, just remind council, we need a resolution to extend the meeting. I'm going to suggest to 10 o'clock. Councilor Dindrad, no, Councilor Lumley, seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. Okay, Councilor Crowe, go ahead.
Now, I thought we also had something in the budget for the Beachcombers 50th.
No, that's not what this is.
No, I'm just, it was a question to the Director of Finance.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would have to look a bit deeper on that one. It's not ringing a bell. I know there was some funding for, we have some funding in reserves for the Persephone move, but I'm not sure about the Beachcombers 50th. But I'll dig a bit deeper and maybe get back to council tomorrow. If that's okay.
And follow up, because BC Tourism was wanting to work with us with respect to the Beachcomber 50th. So again, you know, the fireworks and Sea Cavalcade, and that money was something that traditionally sort of hinged around the Sea Cavalcade event, which, you know, anyway, I'm just sort of reiterating, I think 32,400 for one event is too much.
Councilor Ladwick?
Really bad, but I'm just kind of lost in this conversation. I don't know what proposals you're talking about. So I'm finding it difficult to comment. Like, it's not on the agenda.
Yeah. I believe it is in your agenda. Yeah.
The revised agenda.
The revised agenda?
Oh,
that's
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So obviously I downloaded an early version that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, that helps.
Yeah. I mean, the Music in the Landing, the traditional music landing is the 18,400 proposal. So that gives you people in the park on that gives the, Kevin, that's the gazebo on Friday nights.
The gazebo on Friday nights,
And
the two shows at Wine Garden Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening, and then the buskers, which would be coordinated on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, and then the special events we're intended to be for the long weekend events, for the Canada Day, the BC weekend, and Labor Day.
The July 16th one, which is the tentative confirmation that would be a date that could work for the Squamish
Nation,
Ocean Canoe family. So that's kind of like one specific Saturday afternoon.
Well, council, I mean, the whole idea of being here is to enable Kevin to move forward and make bookings and have a successful summer so that we can, how do you want to do it? Councilor Dindrat?
I'll move to approve both.
You'll move the recommendations for both?
Yeah.
I'm going to second it to put on the floor. Council?
I don't know. Every time I go to download the agenda, I can't see the report. So I'm feeling really uncomfortable.
Okay.
Mayor.
Councilor Jane Dredd? Yeah.
Yeah, just a clarification. It's just not 2 days, right? I mean, you have Music in the Landing that everybody knows, and then the
Oh, yeah.
attachment B, it's on many days. There's Canada Day, July 16, July 31st, Labor Day weekend. So it's not,
It's every weekend starting July the 1st
yeah.
Through Labor Day. Yeah.
If you're incorporating both of those proposals,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's every
Yeah.
weekend plus the extra days on those long weekends as well.
Yeah. Okay. Council Ladwig, I mean, what can we do? We can defer this. Kevin, what's your tight time frame?
I think if there was a situation of deferring it, guess one question is what it would be deferred to the next council meeting,
May
like
2nd,
next
yeah.
month, next month. My only concern is around the music at the landing aspect of that, which is not the special events proposal, but the music in the landing. If that is sort of being held off too long, it's going to be a bit difficult because of so many of the performers that want to be able to book other events and performances that they depend on as well. So if there was a situation of even just approving the music and the landing part of the proposal, we could put forth the special events part. So, and that's something that I think the council has been, more familiar with how music on the landing has operated over the years.
Councilor Kroll?
Sorry, I had the wrong mouse. I would certainly move that the outline in attachment A on page 104 of the agenda, I would approve the 18,400, which is roughly the amount that Music in the Landing has been working with, and then defer the balance to another meeting.
Okay, so it's an amendment to the motion, and you second that, Council Lemley? Okay.
Yes.
So amendment to the motion is that we approve the music in the landing and I assume the contract for Kevin Crawford and Peter Hill, which is the third motion there. And that we defer the special events to May the 2nd.
Correct.
Okay.
No.
What are you saying?
I think I'm assuming he moved 1, 2, and I guess part of 4. I mean, you're leaving out the special events, obviously, right now. You're deferring.
Leave out the special events right now. Yeah.
Well, then you have to defer. Number 3 has to be deferred.
Number 3 has to be deferred. Okay.
Yeah. And then you just have to move number 4 and it's without the special events program.
Okay. So that's
Music in the Landing.
Yeah.
Special events. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So this is a new motion, actually. I think we just have to defeat the first motion, and then if council wishes to defeat the first motion. So I'm going to call the question on the first motion, then Councilor Kroll will go to your motion. Call the question on the motion as in the staff report. All in favor? Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's defeated. Now Councilor Kroll proposes that we move forward with the activities, the resolution number 2, which is music and landing, resolution number 3, which is contract for music and landing minus the special events, and that resolution number 3, the special events be deferred for consideration on May the 2nd. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, Councilor Kroll, now will you second, Councilor Lemley?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all in favor on the amendment on the new motion as it exists now? Okay. Councilor Ladwig, yeah.
just to clarify, so the 18,000 is what they were always working with, so that this is just.
That's correct. That's music and landing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But as I say, I was actually quite enthusiastic to see a really vibrant summer. Musical landing is great, but special events on long weekends, especially for kids and things like that, I think it's greater. That's all. Okay, Councilor Ledwick.
I'm excited about that too. It's not that I don't support this. I just literally didn't see the report. I don't know. So I just need to see what's happening before I vote on it.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll see what comes back. And thank you, Kevin, for your patience with us. Right now we have a musical landing. You can go with the planning for that and get the contract together. We'll come back. Thank you.
Okay. That sounds good, and we can look at if there was sort of a modified version or what might be most favorable, but cross that bridge. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we've got a next one is the 8.5 Silas White, an interim CAO, strengthening community services grant, and who's going to bring that forward?
Hello.
Silas, you there? Hi, thank you.
I submitted a one-page report. I don't know, Councillor Ladwick, have you had a chance to see that? Well, it's really simple. So the Strengthening Community Services program that I've been coordinating for the past year has a second draw for 2002 because they initially had $100 million. 80 million were taken up by different local governments across BC. So they've got another 20 left. So it's a lot less money that they're distributing for the second year of the program. Gibsons is eligible for $50,000 this time, whereas we were eligible for 200 with the larger draw of money. So I'm just proposing that we put forward a simple proposal to continue on the outreach program, basically, because there were a number of different things that were done with the larger budget, including assisting the shelter, including assisting the Salvation Army with helping with a van purchase, my coordinator role, and just a number of things that I'm still working on coordinating. That program isn't even up yet, but with the smaller budget, the focus would be on, I can read out the most important part here, which is the end, the very end of the report, which is to fund a temporary outreach coordinator to support the unsheltered homeless population that has emerged during the pandemic, connect this population to services, including supportive housing referrals, and organize another emergency warming center program for the winter of 2022-23. And that'd be the $50,000 that all go to that one position.
Councillor Kroll.
I'd certainly move the motion, and also I would suggest that we should be seeking additional funding in other areas to support this. Silas has been working tirelessly, dealing, almost 24/7 in some cases with some of the issues we've had in the community. And, $50,000 is not going to go very far. So I think it's really important that we have the solvency to continue someone in this capacity, because it's needed. It's taken a huge load off bylaw. Silas has been working with the police, mental health. We probably need 2 or 3 people in the role. So I certainly support this, but I think we should also be, and if Silas can suggest other areas where we might find funding, or if we can look for other sources of funding to support this role, I think we should be moving on it.
Okay, moved by Councillor Crowell, second by Councillor Diandrad. In the interest of moving our meeting along, I'm going to call a question. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Silas.
Thank you. Good night.
Be in touch. Thank you. Okay, councillor reports. I'm just going to report on the Easter dinner we had yesterday at the Legion in Gibsons. We had served 177 families, 336 meals with 23 volunteers, and 95 people came in person to collect their meals, 7 deliveries and 42 to the supportive housing. So very well received. Once again, it was a great meal, a great time. The volunteers had a great time, and a very well received program. I'm not going to report anything else I've done. I think that was the important thing for the community. Anybody else have anything to report? Okay, Councillor Lumley, then Colton. Or sorry, Councillor Crowell.
Let Colton go first, sir.
Colton, go ahead.
Hi. First, I want to say I'm really sorry. I couldn't make the Easter dinner because I was doing a lot of planning, but one of those things I was planning a lot on actually is for the garden club. Since we got all of our members for the garden club at Elfie recently, we've been we decided that we want to make a Zen garden in the courtyard, and we've just been planning tirelessly on that, just figuring out where we're going to source our materials, the vision of it, lots of awesome things. Last Monday, actually, we went to local businesses around the coast, and I had made this letter, and it looks like we're getting some donations from them. I don't know if I said that last week, but actually, so we're getting some donations, and that's really awesome. And we have lots of planning going on, and it's looking really good so far. So I'm just really excited about the Zen garden we're working on.
Excellent.
And then another thing, last Thursday, we started this Hollandlands focus group in the high school. So we are, it's me and Evie working together, and we got about 6 other people to come from the high school to give input on the Hollandlands. And that's looking pretty good as well. And I'm gonna try to get the other people to come to the open house, which is this Friday. And then I think we'll have one more meeting on the Thursday after that, where we'll finalize our feedback to the town of Gibsons. And we'll try to get high schoolers involved in doing the online survey as well, trying to just get the high school community there involved. Also, I just want to say sorry, my camera's purple for some reason. I don't know why. And lastly, I got this email from Gravity's mom trying to get me in touch. You know Gravity, right? Yeah. Yep. Trying to hook me up with this guy, Brad, the owner of Summerhill Fine Homes. And Brad is trying to make a community garden there outside of his business. Yep. I'm also working with Brad, trying to get people in our school involved in volunteering in that.
Good.
So I've been doing a lot of involvement stuff, and it's pretty fun, actually.
Excellent. That's great. Thank you very much. And that's good. It'd be great to see that community garden move forward by Summerhill Fine Homes. It's been kind of slow process there, but it'd be great to see it move forward.
It is hard with the location.
Yeah. Good.
So I would like to see it be all well too.
Yeah, sure. Good. Thank you. Councillor Crowell.
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. Just a couple of things. I think we've covered still standing Easter dinner. I attended the Sunshine Coast Emergency Program Planning Committee meeting on the 6th. And a couple of things. There has been a single test so far of the emergency alert system, which if people haven't downloaded the app, it would be a good thing to do. It's and now the name of the app is escaping me. It's a weird name. Anyway, it'll come to me. Oh, the Voyant alert system. It's an app you just download. They've already done a test of it. It works. So if there is an emergency on the coast, you're alerted. The other thing that I don't think has been made very clear is if any residents want to have a consultation done on their home with respect to FireSmart, with the funding that was received between the town of Gibsons, the regional district, and the district of Seashelt. The regional district is coordinating it. You can go to their site, Fire Smarting, and you fill out an application and they'll send someone around to give you an assessment on your home for fire smarting. I also attended on the same April 6th, a CAT committee meeting, but it was a subcommittee with respect to art. And one of the things that came up, there's this program that is being worked on at the moment to try and destigmatize people with substance issue problems. And one of the things I brought to their attention was a book published by Lincoln Clarks some years ago called Heroines. And subsequently, there's a revised edition of the book has come out. And a documentary was done by Bravo and the Women's Network. I've contacted and there's going to be a series of events at both the Gibsons Library and the Seashelt Library with around destigmatization. I spoke to the director of the documentary Heroines, and he's agreed to make a broadcast copy available for community airing. It was done again by Lincoln Clarks and Susan Musgrove. And it's an incredibly powerful documentary. It brings humanity to an issue which is prevalent here on the coast. And I think it'd be a great opportunity for the public just to become aware of, these are human lives, not just, it's not just a stigma without a face. That's about it for me for now.
Any other council reports? Councilor Ladwig.
Just really quickly, I just want to remind council and anybody watching this evening that we've got the open house for the Holland Lands Revitalization Committee project at the Gibsons Public Market on Friday from 4 to 7 if you'd like to come down and learn more about it.
Thank you. Okay, seeing none else, we'll move on the agenda. I'm going to recommend that we defer discussion on the council correspondence to the next meeting, rather than kind of focus on that tonight. And we'll go down to 10.2, which is Councillor Lori-Ann Rodenberg, UBCM President, correspondence. We've received it. I don't know if anybody wants to have any discussion on it. This is on the threats and potential risk assessments. There's a resolution 2021 EB 44 risk assessment of potential threats to natural assets. We've received it. So next one is Paul Gregory, Senior Oceans Campaigner. Letter has been received. Anyone wish to discuss it? Next one is the FCM Annual. Councilor D'Andrade, go ahead.
Well, are we not supporting the resolution?
Well, it's up to you. You want to
Yeah,
say anything
sure,
about
it
it?
makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And actually they want to make, what's the thing? Therefore be it resolved that the town of Gibson recognize the 30th anniversary of World Oceans Day on June 8th, which coincides with the Salish Sea as well, the year of the Salish Sea. So I think it's all timely. There's nothing not to support here.
I need a motion from you then.
I make a motion to support, to make this, what's the motion? To endorse the resolution.
Seconded by Councilor Crowell. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Unopposed, thank you. FCM annual conference, invitation actually came to me to attend UBCM or FCM rather, to make a presentation. I think it's more appropriate that our staff members who are working in this field talk about it. I think it's important too that we have a high profile nationally and somewhat internationally in natural asset management. And I think that when we have the opportunity to go out and talk to the issue and talk to are associated with colleagues at conventions like FCM, which is one of the important Canadian conventions, that we take advantage of that. So the recommendation here is that the manager of maintenance operations and the natural asset technician be authorized to represent the town of Gibsons at the FCM annual conference and trade show in 2022 and speak to the workshop on local solutions that face climate change. I'm going to move that, Councillor Kroll, seconded by Councillor D'Andrade. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Thank you very much. And I know they'll represent us well, and I think it really is good for them to be able to get out there and do that with their colleagues and talk about us. Okay, we have a series of bylaws tonight, Council. And I'm going to go to the Director of Finance to introduce these. Let's start down through them.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And so the bylaws being presented tonight are the results of council's discussions and the decisions that you made throughout the 2022 budget process. And so bylaw 1296, this is a 2022-2026 financial plan bylaw. And with this one, the current financial plan has an operating budget of just over $11 million and provides for an overall general property tax increase of 2.2%. And that was keeping the tax rate low was a high priority for council. So 2.2% was where it landed, and that's reflected in bylaw 1296. There also, so the average impact of that 2.2% on the average residential property is an increase of $27. And the impact on an average commercial property is just over $176. And the financial plan bylaw also includes the capital campaign for 2022. That's just almost $9 million, which combines water, sewer, and general. Bylaw 1297 is the annual tax rate bylaw, and that really reflects the rates that are required as a result of the financial plan bylaw. And so all the rates are incorporated in there. And it includes not only Gibson's tax rate, but also the regional district as well, because we collect on their behalf and set the rates on their behalf based on the requisition that they provide to us. Bylaw 1298 is the community recreation facilities parcel tax, and that's the parcel tax that's levied on all parcels, and it's on the Sunshine Coast that participate in the regional district's regional recreation funding. So we levy that on behalf of the RD and then forward that over. Bylaw 1299 is the sewer parcel tax, and this is levied on each parcel of land that's either developed or undeveloped that has the ability or is connected to the sanitary sewer system. This levy this year is increased by 5%, and that's a reflection of the sanitary sewer long-term financial plan. And so an increase of $19.88 per parcel. Bylaw 1300 is the last one, and it's the water parcel tax. And this is similar to sewer. It's levied on each parcel of land that has the ability or is connected to the water supply system. Again, the increase is 5%, which is reflecting the discussions of the long-term financial plan. And the increase per parcel is $12.40. And so adoption of these bylaws, the financial plan bylaw and the tax rate bylaw, as well as the parcel tax bylaws. This is the authorization that's required to provide the services to the community, as well as to meet the regional district and the Sunshine Coast Regional Hospital District requisition requirements. And so they're being presented for 3 readings tonight, adoption being scheduled for the May 3rd meeting. And then we are in good shape to meet the legislative requirements of having these adopted before May 15th. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Does Council have any questions about these bylaws before we proceed through adoption? You've been working with them now for the information for several weeks, months. So let's go then. The first of all is recommendation that 22 to 26 financial plan bylaw number 1296. 2022 be given first, second, and third reading. Councillor Ladwig, Councillor D'Andrade, all in favor? Thank you. Annual tax rates bylaw number 197, 2022, and recommendation that it be given first, second, and third reading. Councillor Kroll, Councillor D'Andrade, all in favor? Thank you. Community Recreation Facilities Parcel Tax Bylaw 1298, 2022. That community debt bylaw be given first, second, and third reading. Councillor Kroll, Councillor Lumley, all in favor? Thank you. Sewer Parcel Tax Bylaw 1299, 2022. That sewer tax bylaw be given first, second, and third reading. Councillor Kroll, Councillor Lumley, all in favor? Thank you. Water Parcel Tax 1300, 2022. Recommendation that be given first, second, and third reading. Councillor Giandrad, Councillor Kroll, all in favor? Thank you. Those are all approved. So thank you very much, Director of Finance. No unfinished business. New business. I have the honor tonight to present an award to our CAO, Manny Machado. You can show yourself, Manny. And this is a long service recognition award from the Canadian Association of Municipal Administrators. And it's just for 20 years of service. And this is the award. Manny, a big handshake to you. And in addition to this award, there's a pin. I actually thought of wearing my 20-year pin tonight just to match you, but there's a lovely pin in this box. It's actually a nice box. It's a real jewelry box. And this is the 20-year award pin that he's able to wear. You can't really see it, but you'll look for it on his lapel, okay? Or my lapel, see who gets it first. Okay, Manny, congratulations for that. 20 years, I know what it's like. All
Thank
right.
you very much,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor and
Yeah.
Council.
Yeah.
Appreciate
So-
the opportunity. It's much
Yeah.
appreciated. I
Well-
won't say the 20 more, but maybe a few more in that 20. Thanks.
There is a letter that came with it. I won't read the whole thing tonight, but it basically is congratulations on the significant achievement. Thank you for your considerate support of our association and for the part you play to continue help to improve municipal profession and make CAMA the leading organization in fostering and sustaining municipal excellence. So that letter will also be with that. So thank you Congratulations with that. It's a milestone, no doubt about it. So, okay, it's 20, going on 20 to 10. I'm going to dispense with inquiries tonight and because we want to go on to, we have another meeting to go to. And so I'm going to ask for a motion from council to close the meeting. And this is closed. I'm looking for the actual wording for the closure of the meeting. Motion to close. Corporate officer, my agenda doesn't have the actual motion on it.
I'll read them out for you if that's all right with you.
Please, yeah, thank you.
Through you, Mayor Beamish, that the meeting be closed in accordance with sections 91A, C, and M of the Community Charter. A, personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality or another position appointed by the municipality. C, labor relations or other employee relations. And M, a matter that under another enactment is such that the public may be excluded from the meeting, referencing section 13 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act.
Okay. A motion to close, council? Councilor Kroll, Councilor Ludwig, all in favor? Thank you very much. Colton, thank you for staying with us. Thank you for all you're doing. It's great to see you're doing that in leadership in the community. Thank you very much. And to members of the public who endured with us and stayed with us, thank you very much for being there. And staff, go home, have a good night's sleep. We're gonna keep Rebecca a little longer. I don't know if anybody else is staying with us, probably Manny, probably, that's right. But yeah, have a good evening, guys, and we'll close this meeting. Rebecca, over to you.